Oh yeah, just a quick one. Let's talk. So there is a date for the Supreme Court to begin their own judgments and judge our rights. However, the question is, what is our role to play? And most of the time, we would always tell ourselves that we already know what the judgment would be, and we don't trust the judiciary, and that's okay. It's okay. You wouldn't blame anybody, anyways. You wouldn't blame us for not trusting the judiciary to do the right thing. But let me quickly put this out there that whatever is remaining of the law, whatever is it that is remaining of the law, is left for us to preserve, because in a lawless society, not just us but our loved ones would be hurt, and that is exactly where we all have our problem. The fact that we have no trust in the process. And let me also say to you that whatever is it that we're facing right now, or waiting with a face right now, is not as a result of accident. It is a total breakdown of institution and law. As in, the decay in institution is exactly what we're experiencing right now, in whatever way you want to call it. But I'll explain it to you. Now, for that person um who has just been posted to Kano State, from Lagos to Kano State, to go and do their NYSC, you know, and he or she is going to Kano for the very first time. I want you to pay close attention, please. Now, notice one thing. She goes into she leaves the house and goes into a park and ask the driver, where is the bus going to Kano? And then the driver points to the other direction. She enter this bus, and then she pays maybe 13,000 or 15,000 to enter the bus, and then the driver drives her straight to Kano State, and maybe to the camp, and all of those. But one thing is very, very sacrosanct about this process. You would realize that on her way to Kano, she fears nothing. She has trust in the driver to drive her to Kano State safe and sound. But what I want you to understand is the trust. That's the underlining word, trust. Now, if you take a look at this process, you'd realize that most of us will enter the bus when we don't even know where we're going to, but we have trust in the fact that the driver will take us there. And that trust was built over time. That trust was built as a result of a culture of drivers taking passengers to their location safe and sound. Now, let's redirect this talk a little bit. Look at the judicial process. There have been many instances where the judicial system has misjudged, many uncountable, and I don't want to start mentioning. In the case of Lawa, in the case of the current governor of Imo State, in the case of the judicial panel that was set up for the presidential this thing panel, whatever. Now, my point is this: if we look at all of these things, we would see that the judicial system has a very, very, very huge trust deficit. And that is exactly the bane of our conversation today. In all that we do in life, when it comes to politics, it is all based on perception of trust. You must trust an institution to deliver before even relying on the institutions to do a paperwork. Now, once there is a trust deficit, it simply means the polity can no longer work. And once there is a trust deficit in the institution known to interpret the judicial rights or the constitutional right of every individual, there is a huge problem. Now, what we are actually facing is a deficit in trust in the institution that has been put in place to judge cases, to interpret our common rights vested in the constitution. That is our problem. Now, I want you to go back to the story that I said earlier. Imagine that in a specific park, maybe the one in Apapa, that there have been stories of how drivers have kidnapped people. You would realize that they would lack customers for a very long time, and people might actually stop going to that park because they know that the drivers in that park have the tendency to actually sell out their passengers. That is exactly what the judiciary is actually facing right now. They have had the chance to actually correct a lot of errors and they've mismanaged and misjudged it. And so the trust deficit in the judicial system is huge. And it's part of the problems that we're facing right now. Now, this trust deficit is also in the political system, such as the law enforcement system, such as the NDLA, such as EFCC, such as the police themselves. But let's deal with the one with the judiciary. Now, if the judiciary don't start paying its debts, it would ruin the nation. If the judiciary don't start paying its trust deficit, it would ruin this nation. Now, there is a rumor flying around, and I don't know how true it is, that 3 of the judges that are supposed to judge the case on Monday have actually opted out. I don't know how true that information is, but it's been flying around all since yesterday. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is this. These judges who are opting out, if so, have come to the realization that there is a huge trust deficit for them to sell out. There is and you see this trust deficit that we're actually facing. Whatever is it that they're going to judge on Monday, or whatever is it they are going to start judging from Monday, would determine the face of Nigeria going forward. It would determine the pride of Nigeria going forward. It would determine the prestige, the pride of Nigeria going forward. And it is going to ruin that country, because whatever precedents they set today would stand the test of time, and their name will be placed. Their name will be inscribed that this judge, according to this judge in this case, look at the way he or she judged. And whether they like it or not, that judgment would be used to rule their generations to come. So they should be very careful of what they're judging. I know Justice Samani has judged the nonsense that he judged. But one thing that he did not know, for example, is the fact that the precedent he had set today, if affirmed by the Supreme Court, would be used in future reference to judge their generations yet unborn. And that's the hardest thing for a person to do, to write a law that would not be able to safeguard the future of your children tomorrow. And this is just a warning to the judiciary, not a warning, basically an advice to the judiciary. Whatever you do to this country today would come back to haunt your generation yet unborn. And it would be inscribed wherever your name is mentioned again. We would know that you sold out that country to one man. Because you're not, this is not a matter of law anymore. It's a matter of morality and facts. So we're not saying, did he go to school or did he not go to school? Did he forge a certificate? Did he not forge a certificate? It is now facts, proven. And we are waiting for you to tell us otherwise, so that we would know in good conscience that you have sold us out. And what we now have to do now is to come to the judiciary and say, where is our own part of the money in the sales of Nigeria? Because now, whatever is it they are going to judge today would determine if Nigeria would stand or collapse. Good night, people. My name is Dede. See you in my next post. God bless Nigeria.